Welcome to the Sussex Collaborative 4am Club. We're here to try and help people sleep better who are running businesses and share some advice to answer some of the problems and challenges that they're facing. Today we're joined by Daymond and Geoff Keeling, who are both L&D and HR experts, and they're going to share some of their advice that they're giving to clients. So, Ali, do you want to kick off and just explain who you are and what you do?
Okay, yeah. Adastra HR is a consultancy that provides HR to small businesses, and with the background that we've got in corporate HR as well as small businesses, we're able to be an extension to the company team, be in the room next door. So I like to think of us as the Nanny McPhee of HR. When you need us, we're there. When you don't need us, we will be in the background keeping you legal and compliant. And during the current times in particular, it's when I think people are realising they need HR the most. So whether it's HR, health and safety, payroll, law, all of those elements, it's all about people.
Excellent. Geoff, do you want to?
Yeah, I run a consultancy that specialises in leadership, sales and team development.
Excellent. So I think, one of the big things at the minute, as you say, COVID's thrown everything up in the air. Everybody's very confused about what they're meant to be doing. What kind of real life challenges are you finding that your clients are coming to you looking for solutions for?
I think, the biggest thing is about staff and their communication and the way they're reacting to change. Because right now, whoever thought COVID was going to happen? We had no idea we were going into a pandemic. We had no idea what was going to lie ahead now and in the previous 6 months. So I think it's been about business owners trying to work out how do we survive and thrive, because ultimately nobody saw this coming. And it's about remaining agile, it's about adapting to change. And of course we're dealing with people and they're unpredictable, and human nature is really difficult to predict. So it's been all about just guiding business owners through and sort of navigating through these waters and finding solutions for them to help them stay on track and keep on track in the coming months as well.
Yeah. And Geoff, you deal a lot with corporates, don't you? So
yeah.
How are you finding the same thing or different?
Yeah, a lot of what Ali's saying is in line with what I'm hearing, but also because I'm fortunate, quite a lot of my clients are running big organisations. They're dealing more with people that are less inclined to come back to work, and also the organisation quite often is happy for people to be at home and working from home. So we're trying to find ways of connecting with them via conferencing and so on, and making sure that when they do return they feel comfortable, they feel engaged, they feel motivated, and they're part of the new world, whatever that is.
Yeah. And Ali, I guess some of the small businesses need their people back, but how are you finding that they're managing? Some people want to come back, some people don't.
Yeah. It's a huge challenge, and I think as Geoff says, you've got a real mixture. When you've got bigger premises, you've got more staff, you've got more resources to play with, you can actually be a lot more flexible, and you can say who actually wants to stay at home and work at home, who wants to come back in the office, because a big part of that is about saying what's going on in people's minds. Everybody's reacting very differently to COVID. Everybody wants to work, they want to get back to normal. I mean, how many parents of children have suddenly become homeschooling teachers overnight when they're actually running businesses or in roles in businesses where they want to be focusing on that? And so it's about saying, how do you actually keep moving forward with that? And how do you make sure that the business can operate with the right level of people in the right structure? And I think a lot of companies have now realised the benefit of home working. I've certainly found that companies in the past haven't wanted to encourage home working, maybe from trust issues, maybe from productivity concerns, performance management. But actually, now that we've been forced into working from home for 6 months, they're now seeing the benefits of that. Maybe they'll reduce the amount of desk space and rental space because they could have more people working at home and less people in the office. But at the same time, how do you keep that collaboration of the teams there? How do you keep that team cohesion, and how do you keep that engagement and motivation going where people don't become isolated and fragmented, and that almost becomes a degradation of team spirit? So with the bigger companies, I'm sure like Geoff may find that you've got that facility to be able to structure the team environment a lot better, but smaller businesses might need people in the office, they might need them in manufacturing sites or anything like that, and it's about how do you work through that, and how do you tap into what people are feeling from an anxiety perspective, maybe from a mental health perspective, from a health and safety perspective of creating a COVID secure environment.
So I guess, Ali, one of the challenges then for the business owners is, how they're managing it, and what, I suppose from a legal perspective, are there any things that they need to be aware of? Is there any advice that you would give on that basis?
Yeah. I think this is where the health and safety side of the business world has become even more in the higher profile. We're dealing with humans, we're dealing with clues in the title, human resources, but we're dealing with the health and safety of your people. COVID is now recognised as a workplace disease. The responsibility of the business owner is to make sure that the work environment is safe and secure and to remove that workplace disease. So it's about making sure that there are really good procedures in place, that we've got a really clear health and safety policy, that we've not just put a poster up on the wall, but we've talked to the staff about it, that we've given them that reassurance to say that we've done risk assessments, that we've made the offices COVID secure, whether it's with sanitisers, hand washing, kitchen facilities, all that good stuff. To make sure that people are reassured about coming back in. And you can't just put a poster on the wall, you've got to train people and make sure that they're aware of it so that they know what their responsibilities are. Because ultimately, if they don't come in and follow those procedures, you're into breach of health and safety, and there's a lot of emphasis on that from the health and safety executive, and there's a responsibility there of the employer. Yeah. But of course, by creating that reassurance, you're actually getting people comfortable about coming back into work. If you then get a different kind of resistance of people that say, well, I quite like working from home and rocking up on a Zoom call in my trackies at 9 o'clock, then you start having different conversations with people because you want to make sure there's no concerns. Equally, if people have enjoyed working at home, then let's look at flexibility. Let's look at maybe some time in the office and some time at home. A lot of companies are turning their offices into hubs, and they're actually rotating the staff and making sure people work together. And again, I guess that comes back to that, sort of employee engagement and communication. But for the business owner, regardless of the number of staff, how do I keep my business moving forward? Yeah. Especially because there might be some further challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess, Geoff, from a learning development, how, there's a way of using learning and development, maybe changing the approach to it, to engaging people who are split across different sites. Is that what you're finding?
Absolutely. I think now more than ever, it's about managing performance. So it's making sure whether people working from home, in a bubble, coming into the office on a regular basis, that they all know what they're doing. They all know that their roles are likely to evolve and change as the requirements of work changes. And so whatever they're working on has to be relevant, has to add value. They need to know how the business is performing because they're part of the collective result. So if they don't know where they fit in and they don't know what they're doing that's making a difference, why are they doing it? Yeah. So they really, really need to be looked after in terms of regular communication, understanding what they're doing, understanding what difference it makes. Then beyond that, what are you doing about your poor performance? What are you doing about the people that are struggling? How can you ramp up the support you provide for them to make sure that they turn around? And also what you're doing with your talent. If you've got people that are high performing before you started this piece, then what are you going to do to make sure that as the world changes and as it gets tougher and more unpredictable, how are you going to make sure those people continue to perform and continue to make a difference for your business?
Yeah, and talking to a few of my clients, what they're finding is that people are sometimes getting stressed with each other because they're finding that maybe somebody's not delivering the quality of work that they used to, or they're not getting back to them on time. And I know you use insights. Is that are you finding you able to use that to help with that issue?
Yeah, I mean obviously people treat things like insights and psychometrics differently, and sometimes they might look at it and go, we've got bigger things going on here at the moment, then let's see how you feel about that. But it's any tool that will help, that will get people re-engaged, refocused, clear about what they're likely to do when they're under stress. Anything that will help provide that information, I think should be applied at this stage, just because it is unpredictable and sometimes a traditional solution won't necessarily work. So the more you can do to test things and see what difference it can make, the more worthwhile it is.
No, that's great.
And actually, and one thing that's worked really well, I think, with some clients of mine is that we've been running almost like little mini workshops on Zoom, actually for the teams, and actually not so much saying talk to us about your problems and what you're worried about, because not everybody's got a concern about this. Some people just want to get back into a normal way of working. Others are genuinely concerned. So actually running some sort of facilitated sessions around talk to us about how we make the coming months better as a team, get their buy-in. It's not about then saying, I have a problem, but it's about what's your ideas and how can we do that together, and again, that team collaboration. And that's something that I'm doing a lot with clients, and it's working really well.
Yeah.
And actually what it does is it helps identify where there are some concerns about anxiety or mental health issues, and from there we can do more individual one-to-one coaching with those people as well, potentially even refer to occupational health and get involvement there from if people are genuinely medically suffering as well. So there's some really good stuff I think probably we're able to do in the different
absolutely.
worlds.
I think it's worth, so what Ali says is completely true from an individual point of view, how you support, how you try and ease their anxieties, but also from a leadership perspective, these are difficult times, and being a leader can be very, very lonely. So sometimes being able to go to your team or go to people that you really trust in your team and talk about the reality of what you're facing and see what solutions they've got. See, it doesn't have to be just down to C-suite to provide answers. Some of the leadership challenges and answers can come from any level of the business. So putting stuff out there and saying, look, this is what we're facing as a business. What do you think we can do? How can we drive sales? How can we market better? How can we deal with these problem customers in order to make us a stronger and more united organisation, and to get through this difficult period in a healthy way.
And I think that's where, as a collaborative, we've got 6 of us that are all working together, and we kind of come from very different backgrounds in terms of what we do, but I think I'm certainly finding people are coming to me just with those challenges because they want an outside ear. They want somebody that's not involved in the business to actually help them find solutions with an independent view, and I guess that must be what your clients are doing too, I assume.
Yeah, it's quite often just simply being able to download and say, look, this is what's in front of me, and as they talk it through, and it's always interesting hearing what challenges people are facing, but being able to just let them vent and let them express what their concerns are. Quite often when they play those out, they start to get clarity and they start to see where they want to take things.
Yeah.
It's not always the case, and that's when I'll encourage them to talk to other people, be it within the organisation or in a wider network. But being able to share your issues really, really helps deal with difficulties.
Yeah.
And I think it's also about being a critical friend. Actually, the fact that we talk about it is lonely when you're running a business, no matter how small or how big the business is. And a lot of people talk to their accountant, for example, as an external person, and that's the person that they can trust with the numbers for the business, and they can go to that person. I think everything else that we're all doing in the collaborative is about saying, with those areas of expertise, we can all be that critical friend, because actually it is lonely trying to run the business, and we all run our own businesses, so we know how that feels. And if you've got those trusted advisors, you can then go to them and say, I just need a sounding board. I just need someone that's going to give me an honest answer. I don't want a yes man, because actually you have your staff working for you, but what you actually want is that honest opinion.
Yeah.
So
how, there's so many different factors, there's so many questions I'm sure people have got. How can they get in touch with you for more information to get some of your expertise?
Well, I think from my side of it, there's my website, it's Adastra HR, and it's all about just talking about people. And I would just love to meet anybody for a coffee, because that's the best way to chat about what's going on in your business.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I think sometimes it's easy to lose sight of the fact that you still got to sell. So I would make sure you focus on your sales team, make sure you look after them, protect them, and get them driving the revenue back in. As a leader, feel like you're not isolated and you've got support around you.
Yep.
And from a team's perspective, make sure that no matter where people are in the performance curve, they're looked after, they're focused, they're working clearly, and it's geoffkeeling.com.
Brilliant. So we've got lots of information on the Sussex Collaborative website. If anybody wants to take a look on there, you can see more information about what Geoff and Ali do. And we're going to be running a lot of these sessions, so keep an eye out. We're going to be picking up on lots of different topics over the next few months. And I think we'd like to say thank you to the MBAR for hosting us, and to Rocket Pod Media for filming today. So yeah, keep an eye out, and there'll be more coming soon.